America is crazy in love with English period drama, like Downton Abbey or The Crown. Now on HBO comes Gentleman Jack. It is an English period drama with a twist, because the gentleman in question is a she. And the series showcases her extraordinary life, a dynamic take-charge businesswoman in the 1830s who boldly lives exactly as she wants, and she marries a woman. Now, the actress is Suranne Jones, and the writer and director is Sally Wainwright. And I've been speaking to both from New York about their groundbreaking series. Sally Wainwright and Suranne Jones, welcome to the program.
Hi.
Hi.
Let me ask you, Sally, since you created this, it really is an amazing story, and English drama is so well received around the world, including where you are right now, the United States. But what made you choose this particular topic? How did you even know about the famous or infamous Anne Lister?
Well, I grew up in Halifax, which is where the drama is set, and where Shibden Hall is. And I used to visit Shibden Hall a lot as a child, and there was never any mention of Anne Lister. It's like she was a bit of a secret for a long time. And I was amazed that I grown up in this area, that I knew Shibden Hall really well, and I knew nothing about this extraordinary woman.
Isn't that because
Absolutely,
she was
yes.
a lesbian and she had these amazing life, and people didn't talk about it for some reason, even until recently?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. She was hidden away because of her sexuality. And obviously times have changed, and we now live in a world where we can talk about these things, but she's kind of still being discovered. You know, she should be world famous, and I hope she will be very soon. But we're still getting there with Anne Lister. And, you know, of course, she's most famous for her journal, her huge diary, the 27 volumes, the 5 million words of the journal, most of which is yet to be transcribed.
Suranne Jones,
Yeah.
what did you think when you were asked to portray this really dashing, charismatic, amusing woman who made no bones about, I mean, she obviously didn't talk about her sexuality, but she dressed like a man, and yet she was also, you know, she had a real feminine streak as well.
Well, first of all, I'm 40 and Lister's 41. So for a 40-year-old actress to find a character like this that is full-bodied, three-dimensional and complex was an absolute gift. And I think only Sally could have written this the way it's been written. It's funny, it's human, it's courageous, it's vulnerable at times. It's all the things that Anne Lister is. And Sal manages to weave the story of her being an industrialist at the time of the Industrial Revolution, of her being an astute businesswoman, let alone all that before we come to her sexuality. Mm-hmm. There's a beautiful, complex coming out story with her and Anne Walker, played by the brilliant Sophie Rondell.
Let us play a little clip that we've been given to play, which actually shows her forcefulness and how she's a woman who's not going to be trifled with.
Oh, good God.
You help this man down. Struck a pothole. The driver was torn from his seat and his arm was dislocated and shattered.
Well then, Mum, it's lucky you were there to step in.
No one else seemed disposed to rise to the occasion. I had no intention of arriving home any later than necessary. How are you both?
Well, Mum, thank you.
That was a reckless undertaking, madam.
All were given the opportunity to alight and walk.
Well, she's not going to be messed with, ladies.
She certainly isn't. No, no.
What was it like channeling her, Suranne? You know, not just that, but also wearing that amazing sort of period costume. Was that comfortable for you?
We played with gender, and so we worked with the male and female teams there. And I wear male boots, male gaiters, male underwear, but on a female corset. Some of the waistcoats fasten male, and then I'll have a lovely female pelisse on top, male stocks, and then, of course, the top hat made by our brilliant milliner. So the whole process, right from the off, was brilliant. And myself and Sally gave ourselves the luxury of rehearsals as well to figure out the physicality. And the diaries, we have the information that she walked fast, she walked upright, she looked like a man, she was mistaken for a man, she had a deep voice, she had a masculine stance. So we just worked with that, really, and we had a lot of fun doing that.
You talk about the diaries, and we really do want to get there, because this is what's really unique about Anne Lister and her place in history, really, to the point that UNESCO has made her diaries a sort of global heritage to be protected. I mean, I described it as saucy, as some have.
I've dipped in and out of it across the whole 27 years that it covers. But I've concentrated mainly on the 1830s because that's the period of Anne's life that I'm most interested in. The plain hand that she writes in is quite difficult until you become familiar with it to read, so it can be quite a laborious process. And then the coded parts, a sixth of the diary is written in her crypt hand, this secret code that she invented, where she recorded her more intimate thoughts, predominantly.
Those are your saucy bits.
Yes. Well, I mean, look, you've described it as the Rosetta Stone of lesbian life and lesbian love.
I haven't described it as that. I don't know who coined that phrase. Before Anne Lister's diary was decoded, there was no written record of that level of affection between women. And for the first time, we saw that in the age of Jane Austen, women were having lesbian relationships, which there was just no other record of that because it wasn't illegal for women to be gay. It was illegal for men to be gay, but not women, because it was so invisible. It was beyond even being illegal. And so there are court records that tell us that men were having gay relationships because it was a criminal act. But there's not even criminal records to show that women were doing that. So until Anne Lister's diary was decoded, there was no evidence that the women had such deep, affectionate relationships.
That is amazing. I actually didn't know that about the criminalization of female homosexuality, that it wasn't a crime in those days. And perhaps maybe that might explain then, Suranne, I wonder if you can weigh in on this. Now there is a plaque dedicated to Anne Lister and obviously to Anne Walker. I mean, that's, 180 years or so before gay marriage was approved here in the UK. Wow, I mean, that is unbelievable. Now I kind of maybe understand why, because it wasn't a crime, although it wasn't talked about.
No, it wasn't talked about, and you'll see throughout the series that as we watch their love affair and relationship develop, Anne Lister always wanted, she believed in marriage, and she believed that she wanted to have a wife. And this is language that, as you say, was used in 1834. She wanted to live with someone, share her life. She had no interest in marrying someone for money or for show, for appearances. And it's still mind-blowing. And the plaque went up a couple of weeks before we filmed at the actual place where they took their ceremony. And they did it in secret, but they managed to live together.
Interesting, because the plaque is surrounded by the rainbow colours, obviously. And interesting you bring up the fact that she never wanted to marry a man. She never wanted to marry for fortune. But I wonder, if you can just reflect on this, and I think it's really interesting. This is from the show. I was born like this, and I act as my God-given nature dictates. If I were to lie with a man, surely that would be unnatural. Surely that would be against God. He made us, every one of us, in all our richness and variety. And Sally, it seems to me you are either taking her words or making a point that her view of her homosexuality was not at odds with her view of being a committed Christian.
No, it wasn't at all. She absolutely believed that she'd been made like this. It does tie in with her character. She believed everything was for a purpose. She had a really optimistic view of the world, and it's also, I feel that reading between the lines of the journal, that she had very robust mental health, and she had a very good opinion of herself. She had a very healthy attitude towards who she was, and a refreshingly healthy attitude towards her homosexuality.
Helena Whitbread, who's writing Lister's biography, told The Guardian, her firm belief was that as God had endowed her with her sexual nature, it would be wrong to act against it. So that goes to some of what you've just said. I want to play another clip, though, which is about women not being able to vote despite their station in life. This is her and Anne Walker in a group talking about this issue.
I find myself, for the first time, excluded from the franchise by my sex.
What do you mean? Have you voted before?
No, of course not.
You see, I wouldn't put it past her if she had.
No, the point is, women have never been specifically denied the vote before. Now it's written, or it will be, in statute, universal male suffrage. I have 30-odd tenants who may vote, but either landowner may not. Isn't that curious?
But surely that's always been that way.
A male £10 householder down in Halifax may also now vote, such is progress. But I have been told very specifically and very definitely that I may not. You may not, Miss Walker. And how many rolling acres and tenants do you have? Exactly. So many you don't even remember. And yet, no vote. Don't talk to me about progress. It's change that's unnecessary and entirely in the wrong direction.
Do you think this kind of story about a strong lesbian protagonist could have been done on television any other time? And how do you believe it will be received in the United States? I mean, in Britain as well, but especially in the United States.
I think I first tried to pitch this about 17 years ago, and I didn't get anywhere with it. And I'm quite glad I didn't get anywhere with it then, because I think if I had got it greenlit by a broadcaster, it would have become quite niche. It would have been, it certainly wouldn't have been primetime viewing. And I just think it's wonderful that times have changed so much that now this is considered primetime viewing. How it'll do in the States, you probably know more than we do. Obviously, we hope people are going to... I hope people will really love and appreciate Anne Lister in the way that I think she deserves to be loved and appreciated.
I think it's a brilliant, complex character. It's a great portrait of a smart, fascinating lesbian lead. And I think it's a very life-affirming show. And I think that I think we can do with a bit of that.
We can do it with a lot of life-affirming. Suranne Jones, Sally Wainwright, thank you so much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.